Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're glad you're here this afternoon. Um, we're here for our orientation session, our rollout, if you will, of our United Way of South Central Michigan 2026-27 Community Impact Grants. This grant cycle is a 15-month grant cycle, and we'll unpack a little bit about why that is a 15-month cycle rather than the 2 or 3 year grant cycles you may be more familiar with. My name is Dwayne Bagley. I'm the Community Impact Associate for Kalamazoo and Battle Creek. I'm going to share my screen here so you can see what I'm talking about, as well as just hear me talk about it. As I said, we are glad you're here. Um, and this session is being recorded. So if you know someone who wasn't able to make it today, they can view this presentation at a later date. It'll be available, I believe, on our website. A couple other of our staff are here with me from United Way. They are Andrea Macklin, who many of you probably already know. She's a Director of Community Impact Investments and Community Partnerships. Also with us online today is Heather Rittenhouse, who's our Associate Director of Data Systems. She is your guide to all things related to the EC Impact database, and she'll be unpacking the application process a little bit later on in our session this afternoon. Here at United Way, we operate with a specific vision in mind. We envision strong, caring communities where every person is valued, thriving, and connected for the common good. We carry out that vision by investing in our mission, bringing together people, ideas, and resources to lead within our communities and to create a flourishing, equitable life for everyone. There are some values that guide everything we do: equity, community, integrity, collaboration, compassion, and results. Those are unpacked a little bit more on our website, but suffice it to say that our two North Stars within this constellation of values are equity and Alice. And what we mean by Alice, of course, are those individuals who fall below a threshold related to income level. And the acronym ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed Persons. Our goal is to support initiatives which lift our local communities by reducing racial and economic disparities that have traditionally and historically existed within our communities, by focusing specifically on the needs of uh, Alice households, those households that fall below the asset limited, income constrained, employed threshold. And we also seek to invest in creating opportunities where every person in our community can reach their full potential. This upcoming grant cycle that we're previewing today is a 15-month grant cycle. And I'm going to invite Andrea Macklin to share a little bit about what that 15-month grant cycle is and why we're offering a 15-month grant cycle at this time. So I'll turn it over to Andrea so you can hear from her.
Thanks, Dwayne. Hello, everyone. So nice to see so many of you on my screen today. So for those of you who may not be as familiar with the United Way model, I just want to give you a little bit of background that I think will help you understand why we're doing this. So unlike a family foundation or a private foundation, we do not distribute grants out of an endowment. We don't have a set amount of money every year that we know we're going to give out. We actually fundraise every single year to be able to disperse these grants to the community. And so historically, We've made these decisions based off of what has come in and what we call our annual fundraising campaign. And we usually have those numbers by, late winter, early spring. The last several years, our campaign has become more of a year-round situation. And we're not really coming up with final numbers until really late April, early May. And that makes it difficult when we're trying to make grant decisions in late April and early May. We're often working off of projections. So all of this to just give you a little bit of context about why we have decided to shift our grant year back by 1 quarter. So most of you are familiar with our United Way grant cycle extending from July 1st to June 30th. And we will be pushing it back so that the grant cycle will be October 1st to September 30th. And in order to make that happen, we have to have one transitional year where we add an extra quarter to make that shift. And so that is this year. After this 15-month grant cycle, we will be bringing back our multi-year funding opportunities as well as some more responsive annual grants. And we'll be really excited to tell you about that in 2027. Believe it or not, that's when this grant cycle will end. But for this specific grant cycle, the dates will be July 1st, 2026 through September 30th, 2027. It will be a 15-month grant cycle, or five, for lack of a better word, quarters of funding. So happy to answer any questions that you might have about that. I know it's a little bit out of the ordinary, but hopefully you'll understand this is something we're trying to do to make sure that we can get every last dollar that's fundraised in the community back out to you all through our grant making. So.
Any questions for Andrea before we move on?
Great.
If
And then one other, oh, sorry, Dwayne.
not, Andrea.
The only other thing that I was asked to speak about while we talk about this grant cycle is that we do expect, with the current funding landscape, obviously we're getting news every day about things that are cut. I'm sure many of you just got the news about the impact of SNAP. We expect this to be a very competitive grant round, this 15-month cycle. We expect that we'll be seeing applications from people who may not have previously applied for United Way funding. And we also expect to see people applying for more funding to try to make up some of the lost revenue elsewhere. So all of that to say, please take advantage of the tools that are available to you, that have been made available to you by our staff. Obviously, attending today was a really great first step because you'll get a sneak peek and insight into what we are looking for. But we also have office hours available. Dwayne, Heather, and myself are all available to you to meet and discuss your application before you submit it. I just really strongly encourage you to take advantage of that. We do expect this to be extremely, extremely competitive. So take it away, Dwayne.
Thanks for all that, Andrea. Briefly go over eligibility requirements. I suspect that if you've landed on this Zoom meeting, your organization probably meets our eligibility requirements, but just some specifics for us as we continue this afternoon. To be eligible for this upcoming grant cycle, your organization has to serve the people of Calhoun, Clinton, Eaton, Ingham, Jackson, and/or Kalamazoo counties. Had to be registered as a 501c3 public charity. And we include faith-based nonprofits in that category of 501c3 public charities. If your organization is not registered as a 501c3 public charity, you have to have an active registered public charity serving as your fiscal sponsor. And that organization will have to provide documentation to indicate that they are registered as a public charity. In addition to these requirements, there are a handful of others. You have to serve one of the population groups that are disproportionately below the ALICE threshold. These include BIPOC households, households that are headed by single parents, households headed by individuals who are 25 or younger, or 65 and older, persons with disabilities, or you have to serve people in areas where 41% of the total population meet ALICE criteria. And if you are working in Kalamazoo or Calhoun County, it is likely that you meet that final criteria, even if you meet none of the other ones. We also have some focus considerations that we're taking into account as we make decisions about who's going to receive grants in this upcoming cycle. And I'm going to invite Andrea once again to unpack some of these definitions for us. You can find them defined in our grant invitation and guide that's available online. But I'm going to invite Andrea just to say a few words about some of these categories.
Sure, thanks, Dwayne. As Dwayne mentioned, we did include a glossary in the grant guide, so if you're looking for definitions, I would check there while you're going throughout the process. But grassroots agencies, it has meant different things to different organizations. So we wanted to define it as a community-based organization, neighborhood group, et cetera, that helps residents actively join together to improve their city, block, neighborhood, or community. We additionally define grassroots organizations with the following criteria: annual operating budget under 350,000 for the last 3 years, and the work conceived and done by people closely related to the issue and/or served by the mission of the organization. So truly living out the philosophy of nothing for us without us. When it comes to collaborative programs and collective impact programs, sometimes those terms are used interchangeably. They are actually very unique terms. Collaborative requests would just be one in which two or more community partners are working together on a proposed project and they're coming in requesting funding together in a partnership. Collective impact is a very specific term to describe a network of community members, organizations, and institutions who actually meet the 5 conditions of collective impact. So again, there's information in the grant guide about this. There's also information on the application. Heather will show you later how you can access some of our help buttons to see further definitions. And if you still have questions, our staff is available to go over this with you and help you decide if you might fit into one of these categories.
Thanks for all that, Andrea. That's a very concise explanation, some complicated terms, but certainly appreciate the illumination there of those definitions. Like all grant cycles, ours has a timeline. I'm going to share a few key dates with you so you are aware of some of the things you will need to pay attention to. Our grant application process goes live on Monday, October 27th. You'll be able to access the grant and the grant guide by noon on October 27th. Grant applications remain open until December 18th. All those applications are due by 12 noon on December 18th. After we receive our applications, they all go into a review process. And our aim is to announce the awards by or before May 1st, 2026. First disbursement of grant funding to organizations that receive grant awards will be made on July 1st, 2026. And the final disbursement will happen on September 1st, 2027. And we are requiring that all organizations that receive grant funding in this grant cycle submit a final report by December 31st, 2027.
Just a note, Dwayne, the final disbursement date is July 1st, 2027. So I put that in the chat.
All right. Thanks for that clarification. Hopefully I can get it clarified in my own mind before we start awarding these grants. Oh, goodness. For this upcoming grant cycle, we have some priority impact areas that we want to focus on. First of these is what we define as healthy community. You might call it a safety net. Other people might refer to it as provision of basic needs, things like food and shelter, healthcare, transportation, and childcare. These things in this particular moment we find ourselves in are more important, more essential than ever before. Our desired outcome in focusing on the area of healthy community is that all of our community members have access to these basic needs. We're also lifting up financial security as one of our impact pillars, an area where we want to have a transformative effect in our community by supporting community partners and the work that they're doing. We want to partner with nonprofits to help more adults thrive in their career, live in quality housing, and to build generational wealth that's transferred from one generation to the next. And as a desired outcome, we want to help ensure that households have the tools and the capital to decrease their debt and to build that generational wealth. We're also focusing on youth opportunity as one of our impact pillars in this grant cycle. We believe that a long-term foundation for thriving communities requires that we make an investment in children and youth. We have a couple desired outcomes related to this impact pillar. The first is a focus on childcare, and we've been doing some collaborative work around childcare the last several months, and we're hoping to see as an outcome that all families have access to high quality, affordable childcare and early childcare education. In addition, we hope to see youth that are prepared and equipped for post-secondary education or career training opportunities. The final one of our impact pillars is community resiliency. We all know that in this particular moment, we're facing new and unanticipated challenges, and we are committed to partnership with area organizations who are seeking to build resilient communities. We feel that communities that are more connected, supportive, are ready to respond to any challenge. An example of efforts to build community resiliency might include things like support of 211 or investment in disaster preparedness and response. Our application process for this upcoming grant cycle is all online. You access it through our EC Impact portal. And the person who knows more about EC Impact than anybody else on this call is Heather Rittenhouse. She manages the database, but also has designed the application. And we're going to invite her to walk you through the online application. Heather, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can share yours and guide us through that online application process.
Thank you, Dwayne. As I'm pulling this up, I just want to say hi to everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Just double checking. Can you see my screen, team? Thank you. So for new applicants or new agencies to our system, I guess I should say, if you don't currently have a login, we'll have you go to the link and it'll actually prompt you to fill out a profile. So it'll actually build that out for you as you're going through and answering some of those questions. And then we'll kind of meet up to where we're going to start here. Just going to jump down this navigation bar on the left-hand side of the page once you're logged in is going to kind of follow you throughout the system. And today we're going to be focusing on the funding opportunities section. So when you're, if you have a current profile already, you can just go under funding opportunities and request an application. And then I'm going to apologize now because I'm going to do a lot of scrolling. But we're going to scroll down to our 15 months 2026-2027 grant application. And then we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and press continue. So this gives you a lot of the information that you'll see in the grant guide, but just so you have it in multiple places, we put that here. And then at the bottom of the page will be the qualification form. So these are those specific pieces that Dwayne had mentioned. Your agency has to be, 501c3 and things like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill out some of these. Then it's going to pull up the form again, so you can just review your answers and make sure that's what you want to submit to us. And complete the registration. And then it's going to give you a confirmation page just to let you know that it was received. So it was successfully submitted. So then it'll give you the application. So we're going to click continue and we're going to scroll down. This is going to be the overview page of the system. I'm sorry, of this process. What this is going to do is going to give you, again, that information and a little more information about the timeline that Dwayne went over. On the right-hand side of the page, it's going to have a space for you to add programs to the application. So for this process, it's going to require that you have at least one program, but you're able to add more than one if you need to do so. If you have existing programs already in the system, it'll provide this drop down and you can just select it, or you can create a new program and assign it at this time as well. So for today, I'm just going to grab one of my test programs and assign it here. So again, it's just going to give you a review and make sure this is what you want to add to the application, and we're going to complete that registration. Then it's going to give you that confirmation that that was approved as well. Then it'll bring you back to that overview page. So we're going to go all the way to the bottom. And that's where you're going to see all of the forms for this application. So the top section is for the agency, and the bottom section is going to be for a program or a project. Either one of those will work. And then if you have multiple programs, you'll see that you only have to do the agency information one time, and then you'll have a separate packet for any additional programs or projects. I'm going to just jump into a couple of these forms and tell you a little bit about them. So anytime you see an asterisk at the end of a field, it's going to be a required field. There's going to be different types of fields for you to fill out. So some of them are going to be narrative, some of them will be drop down. You'll have radio buttons. There's a date picker, things like that. So different kinds of fields you can expect to see in this application. For the board demographics page, this one is completely optional, but in the grant guide, you'll see that there is kind of a almost bonus, if you will, if related to the board demographics, if you choose to provide that. So it's just typing in the number of individuals for each of the different categories here. I did want to point out that there is always, when you fill out any of our demographic forms, a did not disclose and an unknown. We're not collecting that data at this time. For the organizational uploads, again, you'll see that any of the ones with an asterisk are going to be required. But there'll be a few different fields here to fill out. and you just click the choose file. It'll pull up a dialog box and allow you to select whatever document you'd like to add for that particular upload. And I do like to just note that the maximum file size for one document is going to be 32 megabytes. And if you're trying to upload multiple documents at the same time, that maximum combined size is 64 megabytes. So just something to be thoughtful of when you're going through and adding your documents. Jump into the program side. So anytime you see a blue circle with a question mark in it, it's going to be a help field, and that gives you just a little more information. So I know this one in particular, Andrea had noted earlier, that it gives you a little more definition on the difference between collaboratives, collective impact, grassroots, those sorts of things. Just scroll down here. The indicators page, you'll be able to see that there's different types of outputs that are on here. We have them separated by numeric and monetary, and that's really just for formatting purposes. But to add one, you're just going to click on what type. We're going to click that it's all services, and it's going to give you all of the different indicators that we currently have set up in the system. So I'm going to just grab one of these, but I do also want you to know that there is a write-in as well. So if there's something that you're measuring that you want to share with us that is not listed here, you're able to put that in at this time as well. And when you save your work there, it's going to pull up a table where you can put in your projections. And just to show, this is very similar to the other one. And it pulls up that table again. Once you have your indicators selected there, you'll be able to see it in this kind of summary table. You'll see the numeric section and the monetary section. If you needed to add or delete any of the indicators that you have on there, you just click the edit button to get back into that. For the program budget, you'll see, and I guess I should have mentioned this, anytime you have, we have like a table set up, anytime you see the blue, it's going to be kind of a link to get into some sub items on there. So we're going to go ahead and click this. So this is where you'd fill out your request amount. For those of you who might be doing food services, we're asking that you split that out. And specifically for food services, we're talking about programs that are doing meal services or pantry related services. Anything that doesn't fall in those categories can just go under that other request amount. And that's really just on our end. We're required to report out on specifically food services. So we're just asking you to kind of break that out for us. All of the other fields, the rest of the revenue and all of the expenses, we're just asking you to put in a complete total for each of those. So you don't have to break out line by line. You know, if you have 10 different things that fall under that category, we're just asking you to tell us the overall total for each of the categories that are applicable to your request. Any of the totals at the end of the revenue and expenses will total automatically once you put in your numbers and save it. And then also that net surplus deficit at the bottom of the page will auto calculate based on what you put in for revenue and expenses as well. Program specific board demographics is going to be just like that one at the agency level that we talked about, but for those of you who might have a program or project that has a specific board, instead of it being, you know, your overall agency board, we did allow for a space for that as well. I'm just going to move something on my screen here. I wanted to show this has a switch forms feature at the top of each of the pages. So as you're going through the application, there's actually an easy way to kind of navigate between each of these different forms as well. So we're going to jump into, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back. I apologize. I did want to talk about at the bottom of every page, there's going to be several different options to save. So you'll see that there's a save my work, save my work and return to previous page. So those are pretty self-explanatory as you're going through. If you've saved my work, it'll stay right on this page and just save what you've put in. If you save my work and return to the overview page, it'll take you back to that list of all of the different forms. There is also the save my work and mark as completed. And that one, we encourage you to wait until the very end of, right before you're ready to submit, because once you mark the form as completed, it becomes read-only. And we can open that back up for you, but sometimes you have to wait for us, depending on our schedules and everything. So I just encourage you to wait until right before you're ready to submit to do that. So we'll go ahead and jump into the last section of the application. So this is just going to be the program uploads. You'll see that both of these are optional. So there is a space if the board of directors roster you wanted to provide in a file. If it's specific to the program, there's a space here to do that. And then additional uploads is just anything you wanted to provide that might give some more context or some data around your program or project. So that is the entire application. I know it was kind of a quick overview of that. I did want to also add that during the review process, so after you've submitted your application, when they're doing the reviews, they might have questions that they want to ask you about what you submitted. So when they ask those questions, it's actually going to come through the system. So you'll receive an email that there's a question in the system available to you. You can log into the system and put your reply in there. And I know the team is also open to having phone conversations, emails, anything like that that's going to be easiest for you. And we can add that in on our end as well. So anything else you want me to add, team, or anything that I missed?
That seemed very comprehensive to me, Heather. Thanks for unpacking that for us. But maybe some of our participants have some questions for you before we move on.
Absolutely. And then just as we're waiting, if anyone has any questions, feel free to jump in. But I do have office hours available as well. If you find that you need some technical assistance or want to walk through it with me, we can certainly set up something and get that done as well. So.
Anybody want to jump in with a question before we move on?
Heather, you must have just done the perfect job. Fourth time is perfect. I will just share a question that has come up in all three of our previous grant launch meetings, so it might be something that is relevant to this group as well. We have had questions about the federal restrictions on work around diversity, equity, and inclusion and what that means for applying for grants. And we just want to reiterate that United Way of South Central Michigan stands firm in our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So you will see questions related to that in this application. We are not funding these grants with federal funding, so we're not held to their stipulations. However, we know that some of you are receiving some federal funding and may have concerns about collecting data for us that you've been told not to collect by the federal government. Therefore, when it comes to reporting demographics, we just ask that you report whatever information you are collecting. You'll note that we have many demographic options for you to report to. And as Heather noted, every single one of them has the box that says did not collect or did not disclose. So you can use that if there's information that you were not able to collect. If you have any other questions about any of that, feel free to reach out to me or to Dwayne and we can clear it up for you. But just note that we still think it's very important and we're still funding it. So thank you.
Thanks for that clarification and that helpful note, Andrea. Uh, as we said before, our North Stars remain what they have been for the last several years, equity and Alice, and that is not likely to change. Deadline once again is December 18th at high noon. We hope that you will get your applications in by that deadline. And we are, as we've said several times, committed to helping support you throughout this application process. Once we've received all of the applications and the application deadline closes the applications, they go through a review process, and Heather alluded to that just a little bit as she unpacked the application. Applications are reviewed by a team of UCME staff and community volunteers. They make recommendations that go to United Way of South Central Michigan's local advisory body. That review continues as the local advisory body addresses some questions and concerns. And as Heather indicated, those may come up in EC Impact. And there might be some other kinds of follow-up with grant applicants for clarification, and we'll reach out to you in ways perhaps even beyond EC Impact. We hope to have all the awards announced by or before May 1st, 2026. Those receiving grants will receive 5 equal payments beginning July 1st, 2026. And as Andrea indicated in the note, the payments end on July 1st, 2027. Is that correct, Andrea? Am I?
Yes, yeah, the grant term ends September 30th, but the final payment disbursement would be made on July 1st.
Very good. Like all agencies, we have a couple reporting requirements for awardees of this grant. Just 2 expectations, really. We're requiring a halftime update, and you can choose which form that update takes. You can choose to submit a written report through the EC Impact portal, or you can invite us to come on site and do a visit. The second expectation is that all awardees will submit a final report by December 31st, 2027. With that, any other questions surface for you as we are wrapping up this afternoon?
I have one, if you can hear me.
Yep, can hear you loud and clear.
Great. I'm kind of new to the application process, but our organization, the Edison Neighborhood Organization, has Edison Initiative has received grants from you before. But one question I had was, can we submit video along with our application? Is there a way to do that?
I'm going to turn to Heather for that. She may know more about the limitations of the EC Impact portal. But Heather, why don't you address that for us?
Yeah, thank you, Dwayne. So at this time, the system will not actually accept a video upload.
Okay.
I would encourage you, however, if you do have a video that you want to share with us, to put it in the narrative And that way our team can go to, if you have a link for that you can share,
Sure.
the team will be able to go there and review during that review process.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. That's terrific.
And I would love to see your video. So if you have a video to share,
It's terrific.
send me the link. I would be more than happy to review that.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you. That would be terrific. Okay.
Other questions before we wrap things up this afternoon?
I just had a quick question, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have need for grants to be front loaded because of capital purchases.
Yeah.
Is that an option in this or not?
Well, as in previous years, I think that probably depends on cash flow. And we'll have to check in with our finance team to see if that
Okay.
will be a possibility. I know there are a handful of organizations who do have those upfront expenses to help make their projects work. And we've been able to accommodate some of those in the past, but it will just depend on what our current cash flow looks like, whether we'll be able to do that in this upcoming cycle.
Thank you.
Other things on your mind?
Just an extra note to the last question. I believe there's a section in the grant agreement that just stipulates if you'd like to request an alternate payment schedule, you need to do that with Dwayne prior to signing the agreement so that we have time to make those adjustments. So I just want to note that you actually do have to request an alternate payment schedule, but we do try to accommodate them when we can.
Thanks for that, Andrea.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything in the chat, Andrea, that you'd like to respond to?
No, it was a very quiet chat today. So hopefully that means we've just got it down and we did it perfectly. But also if you have questions, we're still available after this meeting. Please feel free to reach out to us.
One of the best ways to do that for me is by email. I'm your point person for Kalamazoo and Battle Creek. If I don't know the answer, I'll connect you with someone who does, most likely Heather Rittenhouse, who manages our database and knows all things related to EC impact. But my commitment to you is to do the best I can to support you throughout this grant process. And if I have not had opportunity to visit your site, I really would love to do that, to learn more about what you're doing in the community and about how United Way can partner with you to help you do what you do better. Feel free to reach out to me. If you reach out to me by email, my response will include a link to book a time with me, and you can schedule that merely by clicking the link at the bottom of my return email. With that, I think that wraps up our presentation this afternoon. Any final questions before we say goodbye?